In this week's parsha, it says that we read that Abraham gave a shlichus. This is the first shlichus in the Torah we read about, to his servant Eliezer. Even though Eliezer was not from the family, there were three sons of Noach: Ham, Shem, and Yafes. Shem is the father of our family. That's why we're called Semites, children of Shem. Abraham was from that family. Ham was cursed because he did some terrible things to his father Noach, which prevented him from having children. And so there he was cursed. It doesn't mean a person from Ham cannot be a good person, but eventually he wanted, Eliezer was from that family, he wanted very badly to be able to unite with Abraham and to marry him, have his daughter marry his son. Abraham said, no, you're my trusted servant, I trust you implicitly. He was a Talmud Chacham, he was a wise person, wise in Torah. But Abraham says to him, it's nothing personal, but it's not appropriate that I come with a blessing and you come with a curse. We cannot unite. It's oil and water. They're not going to unite. So he sent his servant, still he's his servant. And when he arrived to do this mission of finding a wife for Yitzchak, which Abraham was not capable of making that trip, he loaded him with wealth, 10 truckloads of good things, silver, well, there were camels, silver and gold and jewels and fine clothing, fine materials, a fortune. He sent with him a fortune. And not only that, he sent with him a deed of gift, a gift written down. Official, not just here, I'm giving you something just between you and me. He wrote down on this document that he, Abraham, was transferring all his possessions completely to his son Yitzchak. Now this is understood that when you're embarking on the shidduch, one of the families at least is going to send a lot of gifts. They want the other family to be very happy with the shidduch. But everything, Abraham was left with nothing. Absolutely, he gave absolutely everything to Yitzchak. The Torah says, "Hakol nasan liYitzchak." Everything he gave to his son. Why did he do that? Why didn't he just send some nice presents? 10 camels loaded with jewelry and money and silver. Who knows what else? And fine fruits from Eretz Yisrael. You name it. He sent it. And he didn't even know who was going to. He just trusted his servant, that his servant, Eliezer, would find the right girl. And not only found the right girl, he gave her some of these gifts even before he knew who she was. Because he had a test. He devised a test. He prayed to God. When he arrived in the place, he prayed to God to show him who is the right girl. I'm going to go stand by the well where where women are going to come to draw water for their sheep. And if I ask one of these women to share a little water with me, and she'll say, gladly. And I'll give also, I see you have 10 camels, they must be thirsty as well. You know how much water a camel drinks? How many times you would have to go down to the well and fill up a bucket and pour it into the trough for 10 camels? Maybe 100 times, maybe more. Gladly she. So then I'll know that that's the girl who could take the place of Sarah, my mistress. That she has a heart of gold, a kind heart, a good heart. In looking for a shidduch, the previous Rebbe told the chassid, he said, what should I look for? He said, listen, you don't need a movie star. She should be nice for you to in your son's eyes. He has to like what he has to like the way she looks. Can't live with somebody you don't like the way they look. But she doesn't have to be a movie star. And your son isn't looking for a chavrusa, a learning partner. But on a good heart, you can't compromise. Those were his words. Remember them. On a good heart, you cannot compromise. So why did he give away? But the question is, why did he give away everything? That's really unusual. We read it in the Torah, but we read the words without thinking about them. The Rebbe asks the question, of course, and he answers it. That Avraham's life, since he was a child capable of thinking, maybe at the age of 3, says he discovered the concept of God. I told you a story that I had a cousin when he was 11 or 9 or 10 at that age. Somebody told me he realized that he could think. I was astonished. I never knew that I could think. It was a new idea to me. Here Avraham went so far beyond that. Not only that he could think about the source and creation of all creation. And he exhausted all possibilities until he came to the idea that the source of all creation is an invisible creator, that we cannot see him. He creates the world and does not reveal himself to us. He only reveals his creation to us. A profound idea, a revolutionary idea, which the world to this day has trouble to accept. Don't want to accept it. I have a good friend who worked in a high-ranking position in Morgan Stanley. He said millions of dollars every day would pass through his computer. And one of his co-workers worshipped idols and urged him to do the same. He said, I don't believe in idols. He says, but they work. You have to know which idol to pray to. You get results. So it's still alive and kicking. Not so much as formerly. Anyway. So Abraham devoted his life from that age with Mesiras Nefesh. He defied the king Nimrod, who threw him in a fiery furnace. He went to war against mighty kings and defeated them. There's a new book out about the previous Rebbe. It's called Undaunted. They're selling it on the table at Kingston and Eastern Parkway. Avraham was undaunted, could not be intimidated, would not compromise his beliefs. He had devoted his life, and when he got married to his niece, Sarah, together, they spread the word wherever they went. And they traveled, and they stayed, and they taught, and they traveled, and they stayed, and they taught. And they made the name of God fluent in the world. It says in last week's parsha, Abraham planted an Eshel, like you have the building on the corner of Kingston and Eastern Parkway, the Eshel building. Eshel stands for Achila, which is food. Shtia is drink. Lina, and a place to stay. The hospitality, they welcome travelers. in every possible way, with delicious food, place to stay, a mikveh, a law court. If business people had disputes, they did everything. And what did they do it for? V'kara Hashem b'shem Elokim, and they called there upon the name of God, Kel Olam, not Kel Shel Olam, but Kel Olam, that He is God, He is the world. A very profound idea. He devoted his life to it for 100 years. Now he had a son, he had to marry him off. He wasn't going to just send a present. He was wealthy, he was fabulously rich. And he could have sent anything, but he didn't send just anything. He sent everything he had, because this was his whole passion. This was his whole life's work. And he knew that this shidduch, his shlichus in life was with his wife together. They were together in their shlichus, which was spreading the name of God. The men with the men, the women with the women. And now Yitzchak was going to have to take over. So he needed a partner who would be together with him in this shlichus. And if it wasn't the right shlichus, if it wasn't the right partner, it wasn't worth anything. If it was the right partner, it would be, he and Yitzchak would be the fathers of a nation, of a blessed nation, blessed to be more numerous than the stars in the heaven or the sand in the sea, by the sea. And for that, Abraham would give everything. He didn't hold back anything for himself. And that's why he sent such a document of a gift, an official gift, that everything belonged to Yitzchak. He transferred the whole shlichus to Yitzchak. That's what's really going on. You can share that with your Baal HaBos at the Shabbos table. It's the Rebbe, how the Rebbe explains the whole thing. We're in chapter 2 of the Tanya. So we have two images of how the soul in our heart and our mind is from the essence of godliness. One is the way we blow. It says Hashem blew a holy living soul into the nostrils of Adam. And the other mashal is the way a child is born. Page 57, again by way of repetition. The manner of a soul's descent is similar to a child who is born from the brains of his father. And not just the brains of the child, but everything in the child, even the toenails, come into existence from this very same drop of semen, which comes from the father's brain. Okay, continuing in the bottom of page 57. Just again, by way of review, we're going to discuss in more detail next week that the soul is made up of 10 faculties, 10 aspects, if you will. In Hebrew, the word is bechina. The word for bechina in English doesn't exist. An aspect, a thing, 10 things, 10 bechinas. And we've said a few times, they are divided into 2, which is 3 aspects of the intellect, and 7 aspects in the heart, which correspond to the 7 days of creation. In other words, each one of these aspects in the heart, when Hashem focused his energy on it, it was created. So that, and we can understand what these 7 aspects are. We'll come back to this from reading about the first week of creation. For instance, the first day of creation is Sunday, day 1. It's not the last day. The last day is Shabbos. The non-Jewish people felt that they also would like to have a day off. So they made the first day of the week the day off. Doesn't make sense. They were just, trying to copy a good idea. The Jewish people always kept Shabbos. In Egypt, we kept Shabbos. How do we keep Shabbos? Moshe Rabbeinu was a prince in the court of Pharaoh. And he said to him, you're working these people so hard, you're going to destroy them. Everybody needs a day off. The Pharaoh said to him, you're right. Which day should we give them? Moshe said, give them the seventh day. And so even in slavery, the Jews kept Shabbos. So the first day is Sunday. What do we see as the first day of creation? The first day of creation, Hashem says, let there be light. So the first of these 7 aspects in the heart is like light. And what quality in your character makes a person light up? When you do them a nice favor, kindness, love. What's the second day of creation? To contract the water. The waters covered the earth. The waters had to go down. That's the second day. That's the opposite of the first day. First day is expansion. Second day is contraction. And these are the chief midas, chief character aspects of every person. Desire to grow and expand, desire to limit. You have to have, what would happen if you only had the first quality, just love and no limit? If you have water makes things grow, right? What happens if you have water without limit? You have a flood. It's too much. Sometimes in marriage, that's a big problem. That a person feels love and wants to give, but doesn't take into account that the giving has to be tapered according to the receiver. Has to be limited. You have to have a faucet that you can turn on and turn off, and so on. And then you have a third day, which is a blend of the 2 qualities together, and that's what we call beauty. Beauty and truth go together. Okay. Those are the midas. And then there's the intellect. In the intellect, you have 3 qualities: right side, left side, back. Inspiration. It's like on an intellectual level, the same as what we just spoke about in the heart. In the heart, you have love and restriction and blend. Harmony. In the intellect, you have inspiration, which is untouchable. It's like a light. And then you have quantification, analysis, measurement. We call that understanding. And then we have knowledge, the blend of the 2 of them. So the highest of these is inspiration. Creative inspiration is called Chachma, the power of a thing to exist. In this level, the highest of all points in this quality of Chachma is called supernal Chachma. Like we said in a few times in the last 2 days, the tippy top of the lightning rod is called supernal Chachma, the highest level of Chachma, and that's where the infinite light and life of Hashem touches with us. And from this point, the seminal drop is created, which causes the creation of everything in the child. Okay, that's what we just read on page 57. Turn over to page 58. And through 9 months of gestation in the mother's womb, this develops into the full-fledged child with 248 limbs, and bones and teeth and nails and fingernails. All of them come from this one drop. The Im calls in, nonetheless, even though, so the drop becomes completely diversified in its connections and is giving life to every single molecule and limb and blood vessel and sinew in the whole of the child's body. Nonetheless, page 58, oideno is still kashura, connected, umiyuchedes, and it is not just connected like two things, you glue them together, they're connected, super glue, gorilla glue. Miyuchedes, it is one, becomes one thing. They become one, like two drops of water touch. They don't have two drops of water anymore. You only have one. You only have water. Two drops of oil touch. You only have oil. A drop of oil, a drop of water touch, you still have two drops. Because there's not unification between the two things. So here we're saying that the life from this drop is not just connected, it is unified. B'yichud nifla, with an amazing, powerful unification. Nifla means wondrous. Word pella means a wonder. There used to be an outstanding soccer player, an amazing soccer player from Brazil. His name was Pele. Remember him? Pele in Hebrew means something wondrous. Niflois. For atzum, atzum means powerful. Powerful. So look at all these words that he's giving us. But mahusa, now mahus, we used this word before, mahus. Mahus is the whatness, the ma of the thing, the ma thing. What makes it what it is? Harishon, its very first mahus. Now let's put these words together. Im kol zeh, nonetheless, even though this drop, the seminal drop from the highest point of Chachma, from the highest point, even higher than intellect, is where it comes from, and it's connected with every single molecule of the child that is being created, even down to the toenails of the child. It remains still connected in a wondrous and powerful connection with its source. Its very first source. What is its very first source? He reminds us, Shahaisa Tipa Mayach Ha'av, a drop from the brain of the Father. They didn't teach me this in grade 8 when they taught us about these things. Amazing sentence, amazing. Every single word is so significant. And this is it. This is the concept. That every single molecule in your body remains connected with the essential life in your Father that brought you into creation, into being. And not just when your mummy became with child, later throughout the 9 months of pregnancy, even later after you're born. Next paragraph. Gam achshav, and now also, beben, and the child, Yanikas hatzipornaim, the fingernails are still deriving life. V'chayusam, life, nimsheches, which is drawn down to them, mi hamoyach shabaroish, from the brains which are in the head. Whose head? Of course, Alter Rebbe is a little bit vague here. He wants it because it means, obviously, from the flow of the wording, it means from the head of the Father. The child remains connected with the life force, the innermost life force of the Father. Even when children don't get along. I had a cousin Oliver Shalom, who didn't get along with his father. They were always fighting. Well, the father was always kind. The father was always supporting him, always bailing him out, and he was always in trouble. And I was told that his father passed away, and then not too long after that, he also fell ill and passed away. And the light was there was a very strong light. And he asked in the hospital, he was not religious, he asked in the hospital for sunglasses. Very significant. He wanted sunglasses because the light was very, very powerful. Obviously, this is a spiritual experience that he was going through. And what did he say? His last words were, "I'm coming, Ta. I'm coming." So that even though they were at odds, so to speak, from one point of view, for so much of the time, in the end, the connection between them was so powerful. So even now in the sun, the nails, even the fingernails and the toenails derive their life and nourishment from the life of the brain of the Father that is in the head. Whose head? His head. Because you're deriving life from your brain is sending life to every molecule in your body, your brain. But your brain is connected to your father's brain. So the Alter Rebbe doesn't say whose brain, because it's both of them. Next line. K'de'isa b'Gemara, like it says in the Talmud, where in the Talmud, Nida. Nida is about having children, having a family. The laws of family purity. Loiven, there's a quality in the brain called the loiven. What is loiven? Loiven is white. We even have a character in the Torah, not a nice character, Abraham's cousin or nephew, Lavan. Lavan was the father of Rivka. Lavan was the father of he was the brother of Sarah and the father of Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. Lavan. Mr. White. Weiss. You know someone named Weiss? The Weiss Tanya, the Weiss Tehillim. Well, he was Mr. White, but he was not he was a dark villain in the Torah. Loiven is a level of the brain where the whiteness, called the whiteness of the brain, a very high level of the intellect, shomimenu gidim, and from this level called the whiteness of the brain, a child receives the energy, the creative energy for his sinews, which are white, and the bones, and the teeth, and the whiteness of the eyes. Another translation of the word gidim is also veins, the vein systems, not the blood that's in them. The blood comes from the mother, but the veins themselves are from the whiteness of the brain. And at the bottom of page 58, Eitz Chaim. Now we had this before. What's the Eitz Chaim? Eitz Chaim means in Hebrew. Anybody know? What does it mean? The tree of life. Where was the tree of life? In the garden of Eden, right? And nobody was allowed to eat from this. The tree of life, the book called The Tree of Life, is the teachings of Rabbi Yitzchak Luria. He never wrote down anything. And like I explained, he only lived for a year and a half. passing, was the mystics, the Mekubolim in Sfas in the 1500s, 500 years ago. And he had a student, he only allowed one student to write down his teachings, and his name was Chaim. So he put his name in the title of the book, of the teachings of the Rabbi Yitzchak Luria, called the Arizal. The Ari is a lion. Rabbi Yitzchak, Ari, Rabbi Yitzchak, the Ari, the lion. And what are his teachings? His teachings are transmitting to us the mystical inside story of creation, of godliness. And he calls his book Eitz Chaim. And there's a chapter there called the chapter of Chashmal. Chashmal is electricity. And it says there that Hashem made garments for Adam and Chava in Eden, in the Garden of Eden. And what were the garments of Adam and Chava? It says there that they were like fingernails. They were like nails. Like I learned in grade 8, they thought we had to study about grasshoppers. We have bones inside our body, grasshoppers and other creatures like that. They have a chitinous exoskeleton, that's what it's called. The skeleton is outside the body and it's hard, that's why they fall from this huge, and they don't get hurt. And those were the beautiful fitting garments of Adam and Chava. And similarly, with every nefesh, the garments of every nefesh, we're going to know what these garments are. Every ruach, every spirit, every neshama in the whole body of the Jewish people. This is where we all come from. This is the life energy that comes to us from the brains of our father, and the brains of our fathers comes to us from the brains of the Jewish people, which is the fathers of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and our own personal fathers and mothers, Sarah, Rachel, Leah. L'chaim. Thank you very much for the milk. And thank you very much for being here. And I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos. A blessing for Kislev, the month of the redemption. There are so many redemptions that are connected with Kislev. The birthday of the Mittler Rebbe, the day that he was redeemed from prison and persecution, the day of the redemption of the Alter Rebbe when he was in prison for 53 days in solitary because he was slandered. And Hanukkah, the festival of light, redemption from the Greeks. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam, borei nefashos rabos v'chesrei ein al kol mashem b'rasa, v'achayis b'hem nefesh b'chad baruch chai haolamim. So say as many Tehillim as you can possibly manage in Hebrew or in English or whatever your best favorite language is, and bring in a good month. It should be a month of universal redemption for all of us. The person came over to me in the street yesterday. Never met him before. Calls me to Rabbi Pape. He says, "Thank you for your shiurim. I listen to them every day." I said, "You do?" He says, "Well, my wife listens to them, and I sit down and listen with them." We never miss. Well, I sometimes. She doesn't. Never met him before. Have a good Shabbos, everybody. Good Shabbos. Thank you all for being here.
לא, אבל יש לי את ה-Avex, אז I'll look at it later today and like make sure I know what it is and where we're going. So, yeah.
Will you drag something?
Yeah.
Drag it in here.
Take your Terara kit.
Bring it here.
Ні, не поговориш, не навіть розпочатку. Ну, нормально имя сделать. Ну, ты пиши там. Корпоративно. А вы что не понравилось? Ставьте дальше будет.
Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna go after that. It's okay to go to oh, good.
Let's ask the Libya what's happening. Libya, what?
¿Te levantaste? Dormido.
Excuse me, what happened? She woke up until now. But now she's awake. Yeah. She woke up. No? She woke up? No. Alright. Oops, sorry. Anyway. Morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning.